hold always by any means necessary, and the truth shall set you free, whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, depending on your situation. You could be incarcerated, and I could say something that would definitely free you, as it has to so many others that's in the penitentiary. And shout out to those brothers that's in the penitentiary, that's doing life and that is not home and able to see, and that's not able to see their family. Hold on. What's going on, boss lady? Yeah, yes, I'm back. I'm back. I had to take a little break. I was going through some technical difficulties. Been getting myself together. You know what I'm saying? Stop drinking, stop smoking. Check me out. Been working now. Got my way back. You see the other videos? I'm more slimmer, but looking good. I'm feeling good. You know what I'm saying? It's a great day, great year. You know what I mean? In the beginning, I won't even say in the beginning that my year was bad. I would just say I had my ups and downs like everybody else. Like I said in one of my shorts that embrace your struggles. You know what I'm saying? Don't look at your struggles as it's a problem. I hear a lot of people say, yo, man, I'm always struggling. You know what I'm saying? It's this and it's that. And, God, they say, God gives us enough that we can handle. You know what I mean? And when it comes to struggle in your life, when it comes to success, always comes ease. You can't have success without struggle. You know what I'm saying? You can't have success without stress. You can't have success without a little depression in your life. That's how you get over it. That's how you elevate. What's going on here from the knowledge? What's going on? But I got a great concept for y'all. I really was gonna talk about something, something that I had to laugh. It's a personal joy. I'll get to that and in another time. Definitely gonna be talking about the swinging lifestyle, but not on this, not today. Not today. Maybe the next time I come on, So hit that like button as soon as you come in, hit that share button. You know what I mean? Hit that subscribe button, tell a friend about this channel. We got a good content. We talking about Charles Kirk. You know what I mean? I call him Captain Kirk for white folks. And this is not racism. I always say Captain Kirk because he was like the leading voice for white oppression. You know what I'm saying? I won't even say white oppression, excuse me. I would say he was the leading voice for white supremacy. Let's say that. You know what I mean? And this is not racism because I'm a proof it. You know what I'm saying? Everything I say here is the truth. Even if I get the backlash and I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I don't know everything. But before I get on this content, before I get on my shows, I always try to make sure everything I say is actual fact, because what's the name of this show? Lethal Truth. And it's lethal because some people can't handle the truth. They said truth hurts, It hurts me sometimes. What's up, Monica? What's going on? How you? So, I'm going to get to it in a minute. I want to know how y'all doing out there. Hope everybody been having, a good couple of weeks. I know Labor Day parade was just passed. Man, I heard it was so many fights, so many shootings, and it's getting out. It's crazy, And what's so funny about it is that police know that. They know, and they want y'all to kill each other. You think you could do that in Manhattan? You won't even get off the block. They'll let y'all do it here in Labor Day. They'll let you kill yourselves. As much as they have all police, why is there still shootings going on? Don't get me wrong, you get caught in the end because that's the whole scheme. But if they really wanted to shut y'all down from all that shooting, man, they had so much police up your behind like toilet tissue, you wouldn't even be able to breathe. That's why you never do it really in Manhattan. They'll let you do it at the Dominican Parade and all that in the Bronx or Sunset Park, but do it in Lower Manhattan. Try that at Pride Day. You will never come home. You bet that. So, you're going to give it a minute. You know what I mean? Just some people come on. I know I've been talking for like 5 minutes, but we're going to give it another minute, before I go on. because we're talking about Charles Kirk, Captain Kirk. And I said, let me get some water. It's my 40-ounce water. Stay hydrated, no alcohol. Remember, I had the bar when I was talking about mental illness. Ooh, speaking of mental illness, man, you ever been sued for $23,000? Woo, man, especially money you don't have. But we ain't gonna get into that. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So we getting ready to start. So, Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Hold on a second. Who is Captain Kirk? Charles Kirk. You know, oh man. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm on point still. I'm on point. Hold on. Trying to get something together before I begin. You know, I never heard of this guy, Kirk, right? Captain Kirk, Charles Kirk. I never really heard of him until this assassination happened. And that's what they call it, assassination, right? I don't think it was an assassination. Do you think it was assassination? Hold on. Trying to get something together here. Because I like to have, I like to have receipts on things I talk about. You know, I don't like to just be talking to be talking. So when people come up here and they like to try to shoot me down, you know what I mean? I got my receipts. I got what they call in the 5% Nation and the Nation of Islam, actual facts. So when people say show and prove, you always show and prove. That's why they never could knock down Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, because they always had actual facts. They always had proof. They never wanted there, especially before the camera, and talk without knowing what they're talking about. Because as soon as you came up there and you try to discredit them, they shut you down. That's why they don't even interview Farrakhan no more. They lesson on that. Am I right? When last time you heard about Farrakhan being interviewed? They don't interview him. They don't even talk about him. They don't even talk about him. They'll talk about Malcolm, but every time they talk about Malcolm, it's a controversy. And they barely talk about Elijah Muhammad. And the man, W.D. Farad, that brought the Nation of Islam, they absolutely do not talk about him. I wonder why. Now ask yourself that. So let's talk about Charles Kirk. Let's get right into it. So, like I said, I never heard of this guy until he was shot and killed. I don't want to say assassination because that's a government term. When you hear so-and-so from a political office was assassinated, that's political. That's government. That's someone that's in the political circles of government. This dude is not in the political circles of government. He cheer on for the people in political circles that's in the government, but he's not government. So I won't call that assassination. But if you want to use that term and that saying, hey, feel free. You could say what you ever want to say. I would just say he was just murdered. That's pretty much it. So I really never heard of this guy, right? So I started looking up on the things because a lot of black people all of a sudden now it's out in the open that he's racist, he's a bigot, he's this, he's that, he's the right wing, he's Trump man. And so I had to really dig and research on this fella, Captain Kirk, because I never, like I said, I really never heard of him. And who is this guy? Well, he was born, of course, October 14th, 1993 in Arlington Heights, Illinois, right? This community is a predominantly white community of 87% white. So he grew up in a small white community that was pretty much privilege. You know, during the civil rights era that I heard he condemned and said that, you know, it's a weapon against white people. During the Jim Crow era, they never really had Jim Crow in that community, but they had practices that were zoning practices against black people. So when, like in your community, they will have what they would call these lottery buildings that you see now with balconies, they had something like that in that community that they was trying to develop and structure in that community for lower class working people or people that it was in the bottom of the pole, which black people predominantly fit. So the community riled up against that type of format that was being put together by the government because they didn't want people of color in their community. This is where he grew up at. So he was already being raised to be racist, especially when you're watching it on TV, because they always design the image of black people. These people don't know. Well, I ain't gonna say they don't know us. Majority of white people don't know us. They only know us for what they see on TV, and they actually think this is how we act. So he's already being raised like that, and he was being raised as a evangelist Christian, which means that they do not practice the Catholic religion. Catholics, they follow the Pope. They follow what they call the successor of St. Peter's. They follow the saints. They pray to many different gods. So when you walk into the Catholic, you got St. Peter here, you got St. Paul, and you got Saint this. And this is who they pray to. They pray to a human being. As a matter of fact, did you know they had a black saint? Her name was Josephine Baraki. Yeah, she was kidnapped from Africa and Sudan and put into slavery. And then she eventually got her liberation, her freedom, and she began to practice this religion. So they called her a saint. Does that make sense to you? I guess that's why he didn't like it. So he became an evangelist Christian who believes that they only follow and pray to Jesus himself and follow the doctrine of the Bible. They don't follow nothing else but just that, just Jesus. They don't want to hear anything about what the color of Jesus is and so forth, right? Now, one thing stood out about me of Captain Kirk is the fact that these great debates that people say that he holds in these colleges, it stood out to me that he was an intellectual bully, meaning that he was debating with kids. I say kids because they was no more than 20, 21, 18. And he was debating on them with bullshit, I would say, I don't want to strike my channel, or bullcrap facts, or what he believed was facts, and he was beating them up. And I was like, yo, the things he was saying, right? The things that he was saying was pure racist. He was saying, for example, he said Kamala Harris. For some of you white people out there who feel that, he's not a racist, and we're going to prove to you today that he is a racist, or should I say was, past tense, because he's no longer on the planet. Only his seeds are. Some would say unfortunately, some would say fortunately, but he's no longer here doing his so-called debates. Hit that like button, hit that like button. So one of the things that stood out to me, besides the Martin Luther King era, we're going to get to that, what he was talking about. He said Kamala Harris, he asked a young black kid, what have Kamala Harris accomplished? He tried to make it seem like she accomplished nothing in life. First and foremost, despite her faults of a political figure in this world, especially in America, judging from the 1500s, the 1600s, and the 1700s, she was pretty much a powerhouse black woman who ancestors was in slavery. And now that she has got her so-called liberation, she acted upon it however she did it. But she accomplished of being a successful prosecutor, a senator, and she became a vice president. The first woman, not just black woman or American Indian, whatever you want to confuse her ethnic and race with, but woman to become the vice president. But yeah, he wants you to believe she accomplished nothing because he was raised to see that she's nothing but just a piece of dirt, a black woman that probably made it on her back with the help of a white man that she's been dating and married to. But we all know she was dating Montel. What's it? Montel? What's the brother last name? But he had the show, Montel. Y'all remember that show, Boyhead Brother? You know, I think she was in a lifestyle too, because he was on the red carpet when he had her hand and he had another female hand. And this time she wasn't really, she was just a lower class prosecutor, you know what I'm saying? But she was with the brother, so I can't say that she don't like black men. But she accomplished a lot. Although the things that she accomplished, especially the bills that directed and prosecuted a lot of black people, as a black woman, she accomplished a lot. You can't say she didn't accomplish nothing. She didn't just get there actually just being on her back. She got there actually for being a very intelligent black woman. So, I got to give it up to her for her accomplishments, despite whatever, got to give it up to her, but he didn't like that. He didn't like the fact that a black woman had more power than him. He didn't like that because he grew up in this predominantly white village. That's what they call it, where he was at Arlington, Illinois. I know some of you, Montel Jordan. There you go, Montel Jordan. That's his name. You know what? I crossed my mind that it was Montel Jordan, but I was thinking of the singer Montel, and I wasn't sure, but yeah, it was Montel Jordan, the brother. Yeah, she was dating him for quite some time. Not only this, he was a Republican, Captain Kirk. So you know why Trump loved him, because he was with the left wing. He was with the capitalists. He was with the white. How would I say? He was with the white group who feel they was more superior than any other ethnic group and black race and brown race on the planet Earth. He made some real crazy statements, right? He said that black people, he was in a debate. And like I said, we're going to prove that he's a racist. Hit that like button, hit that like button. That's right, hit that like button. Hit that share button. I've been some time. I'm getting back into the swing of things. He said he was debating with a young black woman or black college student, female. He said that black people lived better than we did in the 1940s. He said, how do we as a man, not a black man, he asked this guy, how do he as a black man, as a man, not a black man, better his future in this country, right? Because we live better. In other words, what he was also saying in his debate was that that we had it better in the 40s, in the 1940s, during the Jim Crow era. We had it better then than we do now. And he said, if you look at it now, he said, we are at the bottom of the pole. We don't have our own businesses. We don't have our own communities anymore. We're killing each other rapidly. He said, we make up 13% of the population in America and commit 58% of the crime. I have to ask, where did he get this information from? Because we don't run the statistics, do we? So who he's getting it from? His people. And if this is accurate, so he claimed, what about the crimes that is undocumented? And who says that we make up 13% of the population in America? Do you really believe that? Because we do have information that people of color, that is black people, dark, brown, and red, dominate in this country and the world. We dominate. White people from 11 to 1, we dominate. But yet in this country, he said, we commit most of the crime. In the 1940s, you couldn't even drink water in peace. But he said we had it better. In the 1940s, if they claimed we committed a crime against white people, we didn't have any rights in court. And the community, not the police department, the community will storm into the precinct or the sheriff's department, snatch us out of the jail cell, and string us up on a tree and hang us while the sheriff would stand there or the police officer would stand there and do absolutely nothing. And he said, we had it better then. He said, economically, we had it better. But every time, well, pretty much in the black community, economically, we was forced to deal economically with each other because they didn't want us having any type of economic connection with them in their own community. Unless we was paying them for distribution, which we'll get the things from them so we could supply our own, and it was sky high. But yet they said we had it better. He said we had it better in the 40s when we had communities that they would bomb. You can't do none of that stuff now. But he said we had it better because he was trying to make a point of saying that we had it better because we didn't kill each other. First and foremost, just like then and now, we never made the guns. We never imported the guns into the country. We never imported the guns into the communities. I remember I was watching a movie. What was it? It was The Godfather. And they was trying to convince Don Corleone to have his political circle approve of them moving drugs. And they say, as long as we keep it amongst the niggers and we keep it out of the white community, oh, it's okay. See, this is all strategic. But he yet will say that we had it better. No, we didn't have it better. We had it worse as hell. Let me tell you something. It was 1955. There was two brothers, right, in Mississippi. Woo! That was like the capital racism at that time. They manipulated a system with a white banker. One was a banker, one wasn't, right? And they got together and they decided to use a white face to make a bank in America, in Mississippi, in the height of racism, in the capital of the KKK. And they achieved that. Oh man, ain't nobody, man, we are swift, right? And actually the movie is called Bankers. They made a movie. It's called Banker with Samuel Jackson. And when the white people found out that these two black men had control of their money, let me tell you how much hate they had. They didn't even give a damn about their money. They wanted to burn the bank down with their money in it just to the fact that they know we owned it. And yet, he said we had it better then. We got black bankers now, right? So how was it better? Tell me, how was it better? We was more unified then. We, the black man, was going out into the world and making money to take care of his family. It was mandatory, 98% mandatory that you had a two-parent household. Why? Because coming out of slavery, we stuck together like glue because we finally had a chance to be together and not be imported or exported anywhere else and bought and sold. So when we was free, It was the perfect opportunity to keep our families together. We had a sense of respect in the community. The black man always went out there and made a living and brought home the food. And the woman stayed home. Not saying she was below anything, but she reared the children because the black woman is the first teacher and the first nurse. So she always made sure the vitamins and the proteins was cooked well on the stove, not KFC. So you was always healthy living to be 98 years old and 100 years old because you ate good. We had a community. And if you did something, everybody in the community knew about it. And they would definitely tell your parents. I grew up in an era like that as well in the 80s, where at one point in time, everybody knew everybody in the building. If you did something, trust me, your parents was going to find out from somebody's parent. Or somebody that was your age in the community was telling your parents. It was a sense of community back then. That was pretty much great that was going on for us. And he said it was worse then. He said it was worse the time of Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King. That's pretty much what he was saying, where they was preaching that black unity came together to do for self instead of begging their, I don't want to say natural enemy because I don't want to sound racist. And, I normally would pick that word because when you look in the history books or you look on any documentary, when it comes to black history, who's our number one enemy? It ain't ourselves. I mean, nowadays they want to paint the picture like that because they always show black on black crime, but they like to never almost show white on white crime because it ain't us doing all the black on white crime. You ain't never hear black police officers went into a white community and shot anybody 10 times, 15 times, 30 times, 50 times. Never. But when it comes to white people, you can hear that. Am I right? Hit that like button. Hit that like. Let me get some water. He went at Dr. Martin Luther King. See how racist he is? He went at Dr. Martin Luther King. He said Martin was awful. He was a great manipulator. Martin Luther King was urging black people not to fight white people. He would say, if they slapped you on the cheek, bro, you turn back your other cheek and get slapped over there, because he took a page and a ideology out of Gandhi from India when they got their liberation. But those white people over there was nothing like the ones over here in America. And that was crazy because at that time, when Elijah Muhammad and put Malcolm X on the front as their national spokesman, him and King's theologies was different. Their philosophies was different. Their ideas and approach to racism and unity was a lot different. Hold on. Oh. But thank God I ain't use this system over here. Man. I don't know why this is. Okay. But anyway. He was saying Martin Luther King was a freak, and he was a liar, and he was a womanizer, and he was this and he was that. But Trump is his man. I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King didn't have 30 counts of an indictment for sex trafficking and buying prostitutes while he was married. Yeah, they had some actual proof that Dr. Martin Luther King had some call girls, while he was on the road. I mean, I'm not going to say, how would I say? I would say, yes, he was wrong because he was married, right? I would say that, but I would also say that he wasn't perfect. A freak, yeah, Monica. Yeah, he was he was while he was on the road. Listen to me. While he was on the road, getting his people together, marching, and watching his people get bit by dogs, and he was on the front line, and he was talking out against white oppression, and in Mississippi preaching against racism, where there was down there the headquarters of the KKK, and he was going through all that to make sure his children had a better future, and me and you today had a better future. Martin wasn't perfect, and he got a little horny, and he bought some call girls, like most pastors today, like most Catholic priests today, who, well, they don't buy prostitutes, they molest little boys. Let's keep it real now, right? And not one was brought up on charges. While King was doing that, J. Edgar Hoover called him into the office. J. Edgar Hoover, the head of the FBI, the man who started COINTELPRO to attack every civil rights group and black organization, he told Martin, put a foul against him, to him, and said, well, listen, we know what you've been doing, and you're going to stop all this boycott, because, he was hurting the white economic structure. He was hurting white America, because they cannot survive without us. They cannot survive financially without us. And he said, you're going to stop all this, or we're going to push this foul. And he said, well, you're going to do what you got to do. See, look at the character of Dr. Martin Luther King. He put his happiness and his family connection on the line just to liberate his people. He knew his wife was going to be hurt. He knew that. And he knew how the people would look at him once the truth would have went out. But he was like, let it be. When that didn't work, they had to get rid of him, because that's how they move. First, the enemy always come with propaganda, and they smear your name like they did Diddy and Bill Cosby. And if that don't work, they try to put people to infiltrate you, to tear your organization down. And if that don't work, well, finally, they got to assassinate you. Unless you have an army behind you, like the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. See, they know if they assassinate him, America is over in 24 hours. You think George Floyd was son? When they killed Dr. Martin Luther King, 100 cities went up in fire. That's a lot of cities. You notice they don't show that on TV no more. When I was growing up, they used to show it everywhere. It was all burning. You all saw the whole Detroit on smoke, Chicago on smoke, New York on smoke. They don't show that history no more, because they don't want to inspire you. But they'll show you all these Tubi movies where you could go kill yourself. See, this is what Captain Kirk is talking about. So he caught the civil rights era out of his own mouth. He said it was a weapon. Would you listen to me? He said it is and was a weapon against white people. You black people that was fighting for your rights against discrimination, and they made a bill for that, was a weapon. That's what he said. Because now you can't do what you want to do to people of color without being charged. You cannot discriminate, or you'll lose your business. This is why he was saying that the civil rights era was a weapon against white people. And it's funny, because when they killed him, right, because he was always talking about stuff like this, right? When they killed him, oh man, let me see if I can get it up. I'm trying to play this video for you where, man, they had white people going crazy, right? They was actually, shit, I can't get it. I'm sorry, but they was actually marching and saying, "White men fight back. White men fight back." Who they were supposed to be fighting? I want you to think about that. Who was they supposed to be fighting? It said, "White men fight back." I think I now see why I can't get it up. For some reason, hold on. And I want you to see it really instead of me, because man, they act. You look, they act like they was really marching. Actually, they were marching. It kind of shook me for a minute. They had Jesus' name on the signs. Oh man, damn. All right, I can't get it up. I had it. All right, forget about that. I don't need that. But actually, they was actually marching, saying "White men fight back," and I was shocked to see that because I was wondering who was they fighting. Who was they supposed to be fighting back? See, they actually thought at all the things that he was actually saying against black people, it was a black person that killed them. Why? Because they knew that something like that can possibly happen without even evidence. They thought it was us. They knew in their mind, yo, it gotta be a nigga. It gotta be a nigga. This is what they were saying to themselves. And it was like white men fight back. And then you had other politicians that actually thought that it was someone they said out the country. They said we thought it could be possibly someone from an Islamic country. Now they want to put it on the Muslims, their natural religious enemy. And I say natural religious enemy because when they was kidnapping us, most of us came over here either we was Jews, the original Jews, the Israelites, or we was Muslims. They know who we are. As Cat Williams said, we just don't know who we are. We thinking we just regular Christians. And I ain't got nothing against Christians. I don't have anything against Christians. What I do have a problem with when it comes to Christianity is that they're following the wrong Christianity. They're not following the Christianity that came from Ethiopia. They're following the Christianity that came from Europe, from Rome. And they documented King James. Who's King James? Who gave King James the authority to rewrite the Bible the best way he thought he could write it? Not knowing it was already written in a coded message because the ancestors already knew that they was going to get it. They already knew. So they try to rewrite it and they make Jesus look white. Not saying that it's a problem with him being white. I don't care if he was white or black, as long as you're speaking the truth. But that's not what it said. And they knew in order to keep white supremacy, you couldn't put this person that says he's the son of God black. That makes God what? So no, got to get rid of that. And this is one of the reasons why he doesn't follow the Christianity that you follow. He followed the evangelists. He just followed the white Jesus and what Jesus was saying. You know? So he couldn't follow the original Christianity because he already knew what it was, because even J. Edgar Hoover knew what it was about. And that's why the COINTELPRO document says we have to stop the Black Messiah. The Messiah, that's a religious term. That's not no revolutionary term. They didn't know who it was. They didn't know because the Messiah or the prophet don't know that they're prophets until the people make them a prophet. Well, I'm lying. Have you ever heard Jesus say, "I'm Jesus Christ the prophet"? I thought so. The Messiah is someone that's going to lead a people out of the bondage and into the bosom of God. So why would you want to stop? the black Messiah. And if you found the black Messiah, who's the black Messiah is going to be fighting against? You got to think about this now. This is really deep. So was Charles Kirk, Captain Kirk, a racist? Hell yeah. But you know what had me laughing? When they found out it was their own brother. Now I'm not here enjoying that he died. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna enjoy that he died. But I will say that God sent the message. And for some of you that's black out there, say, why would you say that? Because nobody's born a racist. You have to be taught that. And his children right now is kind of young, and they don't really too much know the difference, but they're being taught that. Trust me, with him as a father, and he's married, that means his wife is like that. His wife ain't gonna be talking about freedom for all lives matter. She's not talking about that. And she's from Arlington. No, I'm incorrect. She's from, I believe, oh man, it slipped my mind. Well, put it like this. It was enough for him to marry, you know? And this white man that they claim to have killed him, do you believe it? No, for real. Do you believe it? Like, first of all, let me tell you something. Black people don't even kill people like that. The only one that came close to something like that was the DC sniper, because he had military training, right? But he was just killing to be killing. This dude here, or people, killed Captain Kirk with a sniper shot. Professional, right? Why? And then they put it on a white man. They know they couldn't put it on a black man because we don't think like that. We don't kill like that. That's not our forte. As what would they call it in Law and Order? That's not our MO. You know what I'm saying? That's not our MO. That's their MO. Snipers. They kill politicians. They kill presidents. JFK, Abraham Lincoln. This is what they do. That's what they do in this country. They kill people like that. So he, I believe, was stepping on some political circles, some political toes. He was saying some things that shouldn't have been said. As long as he was talking about or talking against white people, it was okay. I mean, talking against black people, it was okay. Once he started talking about Democrats, you got a problem. Because see, the Democrats is no different from Republicans. You understand what I'm saying? See, the Republicans, they like to just tell you in your face, nigga, you ain't got no rights, no nothing. I don't care. That's what it is. Take it how you want to take it. You know what I'm saying? The Democrats, they're more crafty with it. They deal with reverse psychology and mental technology. They make you think you're getting ahead just to put you in below. Perfect example. Perfect example. They want you to believe that you're making it successful because you're a great entertainer. And you are another Beyonce, and you're another Jay-Z, and you're worth 2.5 billion, and they tell you, see, you're making it. You see, you came far than your ancestors. Look what you're doing. And in your mind, you're sitting around these tables and you sipping wine and eating sushi with the so-called proper speaking English people, and you feel like you're no longer in the projects, and you have a butler now that you've made it. As long as you're a great entertainer, like in the slavery, like Fiddler played for the slave master, you get treated better than the field nigga or than the woman that's getting raped every night. You're more better. But once you stand up and you say, nah, master, I don't want to play your violin no more. I want to own a house like you. I want to own my own financial institute for my people. Now you're not talking like filler. You're not a great entertainer. You become a problem. Just like Diddy, he became a problem. Long as Diddy was saying, I can't stop, we won't stop, and he was making songs for you to sing and dance, and he was pumping the alcohol into the black community. And I'm not judging him on that when it comes to alcohol, because I used to drink. You know, I don't want to be a hypocrite or nothing like that. But what I'm saying, they're tactics. As long as they feed us all this stuff to break down our immune system and hope that we die off quicker, it's okay. But once he saw the truth and you start thinking like a black man and you start going against things that Captain Kirk is talking about, you become a problem. Now they dig up all your secrets, and then they expose it before the world. Now people start looking at you crazy. Look what they're doing right now. The media is making him, Captain Kirk, into a hero. I ain't never heard of this fool. I wasn't paying no attention to him. Really, not too many people was, because all he was doing was bullying kids. He wasn't up there talking to no grown man. We could say what we want about Dr. Umar. Let him sit down with Dr. Umar, have a debate. Who you think gonna win? I rest my case. Dr. Umar will fry him. He ain't talking to people like that. Or Brother Conrad or Farrakhan. He's not sitting in front of him. He won't even sit in front of Al Sharpton. You know why? Because when it comes to the civil rights movement and all that, Al Sharpton was there. Jesse Jackson was there. Me and you, we just read about it, we talk about it. They was actually there. They was there on the front line of society, seeing Jim Crow firsthand. I remember I heard Farrakhan, he said, when he saw Barack win, him and his wife Khadija was sitting in front of the TV. And he said that when he saw the brother win and he saw how much we was cheering, he said tears came down his eyes. And I was like, okay. But what he said after that blew my mind. He said, because when he came into the nation in 55, he came into the era when Dr. King was on TV talking. He came into the era when Malcolm X was talking, when Malcolm X was his teacher, not Elijah. Elijah taught when he came to speak, and he taught his ministers, and the ministers taught you. You understand what I'm saying? So Malcolm was his actual teacher, one-on-one. So he was seeing all of this from back then with Rosa Parks. He was there when he couldn't drink water out of any fountain. It was just white and colored. To see it now, man, that was a hell of a thing. And when you start going against that type of system, you become a problem. So Captain Kirk was talking about that. He was actually telling white people, you better stand up. And he was being a little hypocritical too, because he was saying that we was better off in the 40s than we are now. But then he would say, black people we have all the avenues and the opportunity to become successful. In what way? He said, we have the education system. Oh, shut up. Excuse me. If that was the case, then why we don't have an actual financial black community? I used to say we don't have a black community. I have to correct myself. We have a black community. Well, shit. Not really too much, because now all the white folks is moving into the community by force. We'll get to that. But we have a black community, but we don't have a financial black community, not like in the 20s, not like in the 30s, not like in the 40s, not like in the 50s, because back then when Jim Crow came, we were forced to stay together. We was forced to financially do things amongst each other and make our dollars circulate amongst the community, because we couldn't make no money outside of our community. But now, oh man, now it's different. They came and took everything because civil rights, the era of, I won't say civil rights, because of the preaching of ending segregation fooled us to think that since we can integrate with white folks, we could move into the nice neighborhood, because they made sure our neighborhoods was sugar, honey, and iced tea, and made sure their neighborhoods had the good water fountains and perfect grass, and they ain't even have fire hydrants like that. Come on now. So we thought we was making it big if we lived out there, but guess what? When segregation happened, they moved all into our community and took all over the stores. Look at your stores now. We got it so bad with that crappy education. And I'm going to tell you how crappy it is. You got Asian people. You got Asian people that barely could speak English, that could come from China and set up a Chinese restaurant in the Black community and become rich without a commercial. You don't believe me? What commercial you ever seen on TV that promote Chinese food? Okay. They don't even have a commercial. What kind of education they got? Meanwhile, we got degrees. We got all these PhDs. Don't get me wrong. When people hit me with that, and I see it sometimes on Facebook, people I know, and they be like, yo, listen, I just graduated and I just got this, not diploma, excuse me. I just graduated and I got this master's and I got this, what's that? MBA, right? What is it? Management Business Associates, right? You got all these business degrees. You got all these doctorate degrees, but you don't have a private doctor practice in your Black community. You got your master's, but you haven't even mastered the financial market to build something in your community. And I'm not saying that they're ignorant to it. To a degree, they are, because when you get to college and you start getting that education, it's only designed to show you how to work for them. It's not designed to show you how to work for you. If you left college with that degree, how come you can't leave college and build your own business in your own Black community? Matter of fact, by the time you leave there, you in debt with student loans, so you already messed up on that. You see how they bury you? You see how they bury us? And one thing I can say, and this is crazy, and Captain Kirk said this, and I heard a crooked cop from the 75th precinct, I did a content on that. He was corrupted, taking drug money in the Black community. He said this too. He said, Black people in America, I don't care what community you in, are the richest community in the world. I don't even see them at the gas station. Whoa! I don't even see Asian people at the gas stations. Where they get the gas from? Even Jews. Now I see some Jews here and there, but seriously, when you go to the gas station, how many Jewish people you see at the gas station? As a matter of fact, most of their gas stations are in their own community. Because I had a doctor that I used to go to, an allergy doctor in Bensonhurst. It's mostly Jews over there, but they're Russian Jews, right? And they get their gas there. They don't go into your community because there's nothing there for them. The only time you may see some Jews come into your community is to go pick up some rent. Am I lying? Come on, talk back to me. You know, you see them. But like I was saying, why white people moving back into our community, because I say back, because I live in Brooklyn, and white people had Brooklyn first. White people had the projects first. Just like white people had public assistance first. It wasn't designed for us. It was designed to help them get out of poverty. They didn't give a damn about us. But once they made it due to the design of the economic system to get them further ahead, they moved out of the community. They moved out of Brooklyn, and they moved us in there. And first we was all in Harlem. We was all in Harlem and Detroit and Chicago. Then all of a sudden, now they coming back. And I used to think it was just the fact that their land is drying up, which is true, right? Which is true. But it also implies that white people today are becoming the poor. And now they moving in to the projects. Yeah, I saw white people in Albany projects. I saw white people jogging around Brownsville projects. When I was growing up in the 90s, you ain't never see no white people in no projects. You ain't even see them getting off the train unless they was the police. And that's a fact. But today, man, you go outside, they all over the place. And you could tell some of them is racist because they, you try to be polite when you see somebody in the hallway. You say, "Good morning." Just being polite because you see them, they see you. Hey, good morning, and they won't say anything. Like, God damn, okay, well, f you then. You know what I'm saying? But they're moving back in the community because they're the ones that are becoming poor. They the ones that seeing your uprising. You don't see your uprising. I won't say you, I would say majority of you don't see your uprising. Hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button. And this is why Captain Kirk says the Civil Rights Act is a weapon against white people. Because you're not supposed to be discriminated against educationally, economically, financially, when it deals with housing and even the law. You got black people. Let me tell you how much has changed so much. You got black people that can kill white people and make it to court without getting hanged, and then go to trial talking about your rights and get found not guilty with black jurors on the panel. Back then, you ain't had no black jurors. Nigga, if you ever think about going to court, you'll bomb your house. Every time we went to court for something we didn't do, it was all white jury. Always white jury. You think what happened to Emmett Till can happen now? I mean, to a degree, they use the guns now. But the way that Emmett Till died, you think that can happen now? Man, look what they did to George Floyd. And speaking of that, even Captain Kirk said that he was doing like a small tour, speaking out to free the police officer that killed George Floyd. He said this, but y'all saying he ain't no racist. Right, folks, I can understand why you would say that. I can understand because you're so programmed racist that sometimes you don't even know you're racist. I'm gonna say that again. White people are so programmed to be racist that you don't even know you're racist. And I say program, not taught, because if you're taught to be racist, you know damn well you're racist because you say every derogatory name they call us in the book. You know what I'm saying? But when you're programmed, you program to always think that you're entitled because you're white. Now I understand why Paul Mooney say, for a white person can't get a job and make it successful, it's such a waste of white skin. Because how are you white and you living in a country where your system favors white people and you homeless, you broke? How? You can get a job quicker than anybody with a person of color, and you're homeless and broke and complaining that you can't make it. I can see why we complain about that. That's why we got the Civil Rights Act and we got the, what is it? The DEI, that stuff. I don't believe in none of that stuff, man. Civil Rights Act, that goes so far. That's just technology just to shut us up. And even Dr. Martin Luther King knew this. That's why in his last speech, Mountaintop, he said, I regret what I did because I feel like I'm integrating my people into a burning house. Why? Because according to Captain Kirk, he was saying that, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden caused the deficit in America. Why? Because since 1933, when America decided to let the Federal Reserve Bank print its own money instead of them, they went into debt when they started to borrow. And since the government can't pay the debt, they implemented what you call taxes. You pay taxes and you're proud of it, ain't you? So every time they borrow money, they go in debt. Every time they give Israel every year 50 billion. Why? I don't know why, because they don't need no reparations. We could complain about reparations, and you can't get nothing. We can't get nothing. But Israel, they get $50 billion a year. Where they getting this money from? They have to borrow. So they keep getting in debt. And this is why everything you see keeps going up, going up, going up, going up. And you know what's pissing them off? You know what was pissing Captain Kirk off too? Was the fact that you keep making it. You know why? Because we was trained to make it. You trained us. See, when we was in Africa minding our own business, and I'm not talking about in America because it was already black people in America. It was always a black person. It was always a black person everywhere on the planet because we're the original people. This is our planet. This is our planet. But since you're here too, and you've been contributing, it's your planet too. Because we made you, but we ain't gonna get into that. We ain't gonna get into that. But what I was just saying. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. Sometimes my mind be having like 3 or 4 topics that I'm about to talk about. I know somebody gonna help me out. Help me out there. Help me out there. Come on now, help me out there. I was just talking about something. I know I was talking about the deficit, and I was talking about how we was getting the taxes was implemented, and we feel good that we paying taxes, which is like extortion anyway. Israel's getting 50 billion. Oh man, it'll come to me again. It'll come to me again. Sometimes that happens when I be on the roll. You know, I be thinking of other things in my head. You know, but as I was saying, Captain Kirk, he was promoting this. And he was promoting that you white people has to fight back and get what's yours because you're losing the planet. Black people, most of us that's ignorant, don't see that. This is why Captain Kirk was speaking out the way he was speaking out. You say racism, that's just the low level of it. He was trying to wake his people up and tell them that black people, people of color, are taking over the planet. You ain't hear about the brother Toure in Africa? Man, he kicked France out of Africa. Yo, as soon as he did that, France became third world country. This is how much they need us. They became third world country in less than a year because they was getting all their resources in Burkina Faso. So imagine in America. Imagine when we decide to build our own community financially and economically, not even being racist. No, it's not racism. Because you could go to Bushwick, you see the Dominicans, they got all the Dominican stores and they doing business with themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. You got all the Italians, they doing business with Italians in Little Italy. There's nothing wrong with that. You got the Jewish community. Well, you already know how that go. Then you got Chinatown. You know how that go. But when you do it, it's a problem. Do you know why? Because you will shift their economic structure. They need us. We're the richest people on the planet. Oh, that's what I was saying. We survive everything. They taught us. They taught us how to survive even through Africa, coming out of Africa into this country. We know how to survive financially, economically. I don't care how poor we is. Mama always made it. Am I right? When I see my wife, she do the same thing. She'll complain about some bills or some food or something. And of course, I'll be busting my brain because I got to make it happen. Then out of nowhere, she said, Alakazam, Alakazum. and all of a sudden, she like, I made a way. And I'll be like, God damn, what the hell? And I do too, but I'm trying to make a point that we're survivors. And they see this. No matter how much You put us down, we'll survive. We survived Jim Crow era. We survived the Reconstruction era. We survived slavery. Nobody on this planet survived what we survived. We're indestructible. And they see that. And now you got people like Bill Cosby trying to make an economic structure for Black people. Got to get rid of them. You got people like Diddy trying to make an economic structure for Black people and waking up Black people. Unlike Bill Cosby, he was speaking out. Just like Kanye West, he was speaking out. And people start waking up. People want to do business with themselves, Black people. And that's becoming a problem. And like I said, a lot of us don't see it. Think about this, think about this, think about this. Let me show you how much that they're losing their power. Think about this. Think about seeing our people getting kidnapped, right? Brought to this country, don't have no rights. I say no rights. You can't even walk 10 miles to the store for massa without a piece of paper saying you can. Damn. You don't even own the air you breathe unless they say so. I want you to think of that's deep. Until now, you could go wherever you want to go. You can take the train, you can drive. Matter of fact, you can buy a car. You can make money. You can have a bank account. You could drink water at any place you want to drink. You could go to the most famous restaurants and sit across from white people and order whatever you want to eat. Couldn't do that back then. See, in their eyes, they're like, well, they're taking over. In your eyes, you're like, yo, we making it, man. We getting our thing together. Guys, we're losing our way. We're losing our power. So Charles Kirk, he's out there speaking and waking them up. Like, listen, get it together. They are the enemy. Man, we're busy calling him racist, but what he's trying to do, he's trying to rowdy his people up. And Trump love him. Trump's like, yo, I love him. Now they're up there trying to build statues of him. What? They trying to build statues. They making him into a martyr. So you better wake up. See what's going on. Y'all all right out there? I think I held y'all long enough. No, I'm surprised I ain't got no white folks up here calling me racist and everything. You know, normally, hold on, I'm getting a little technical difficulties on my screen up here. What's going on? Hold on a second. Okay, I'm good on your end. All right. I had to figure, yeah, my end was kind of, I'm on two, three other devices. So, I had to make sure everything was good. But like I said, yeah, Charles Kirk, man, he's trying to wake them up. There you go. Now I'm good. He's trying to wake them up, and you need to be woken up. And they're going to be talking about this every day. But no, you know what's shocking me, though? Real talk. Why is it that I'm hearing that Black people, who is an NFL player, I forgot the brother name. They said it was not true. I don't know how true it is, but they try to say that this NFL player is paying for his funeral and paying for his children's college tuition and all of that stuff. They got a picture. Now, this I know is a lie. Let me put you on. See, the media always try to fool us with the propaganda. When I tell you about propaganda, it tells you, the media tells you what to think about, not how to think. And they got a picture of Snoop. Yeah, they all bald. You're right. They got a picture of Snoop, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, And it was somebody else, right? It's funny. And they got the American flag on one of their shoulders or draped across their shoulders. And they said they're standing up and mourning for Captain Kirk, Charles Kirk. And I realized something. It was an outfit that Snoop had on during the Super Bowl when he performed with Eminem. Yeah, Eminem in it. But I said to myself, this is the same picture wait a minute, that they used when they performed in the Super Bowl like 2 years ago. And they try to say they standing up and they praying for. Remember, 50 Cent said, because they asked him, they said, what do you think about the Charles Kirk assassination? So now they was giving him the nigger test. Yeah, they do that. They want to say where he stand. Because see, they showing the divide and conquer in the media, and they stick the microphone in your face and they wait for you to say something. And 50 was smart. 50 was like, all I got to say is, this is the time you shut the F up. And he kept it like that. Because that's the nigger test. So they used that test during the 50s and the 60s. When like Bill Cosby, when you become a celebrity entertainment and you making money, they go, so what do you think about Malcolm X? And they put the microphone in their face. That's the nigger test. And they want to see where you stand. You for him? Because if you're for Malcolm X, then you're woke. You're against their white system. You see what I'm saying? This is what they do. That's the nigger test. Now it's Farrakhan. You know what I'm saying? What do you think about Farrakhan? That's what they did to Barack, remember? When Barack was running, the first thing he said, so what do you think about Farrakhan? That was the nigger test. Is he a black man or is he a nigger? And he had the answer right. He had the answer right and said, I condemn Farrakhan. And Farrakhan said, I wanted him to do that. Because he said, I saw the bigger picture. Because if he won, it'll inspire us to let us know we could be greater than what we are. So he wanted him to do something like that. That's the nigger test. Yeah, white folks, man, they good, man. They good, man. But no matter how much they fighting to keep this planet, it ain't gonna work. I'm trying to find the name of this movie too. It was with the Indians and it was with the United States when they first got over here. I saw it on Facebook. I can't get the name of it. And they sat across from each other and they were saying that he said, we want to work with you. The Indian said, well, work with me how? He said, we want you to have a good relationship with the United States. He said, we don't need no relationship. You living over here, I'm living over there. He said, yeah, but we want to make a relationship where we can give you some proper rights and put you on a reservation to have your own land. He said, wait a minute. We already have our own land. He said, no, under the law, this is not your own land. He said, how are you going to make a law on my land and want to sit me down and negotiate with me to have rights on stolen land? Yo, you see how bold they Yo, I gotta find the name of this movie. Yo, this is the Captain Kirk thing. This is the Captain Kirk thing. And they're gonna keep talking about this and they're gonna keep writing it up. So now they put this guy as a fall guy. And I don't think this young college student did that. I don't believe so. You know why I don't believe so? Have you heard anything he said pertaining to this case? They made sure he can't say nothing. He probably in there right now talking about, I'm innocent. I don't know what's going on. Why you got me here? They need a fall guy. Every time they have this so-called assassinations, they pick a fall guy. They pick a fall guy. When Abraham Lincoln got assassinated, they said they got the so-called assassinator in a barnyard and he didn't want to come out. And then they burnt it down and him in it. You really believe he was in there? You find anybody? Did they tell you they find a body? Really? Just like Jesus. Oh, Jesus died and they put him in a boat and they put a boulder over it and he rose from the dead. Where'd the body go? Where the bones go? The bones went where? Oh, it went up to heaven. Where's heaven? There's a location? I didn't know that. Bible ain't never talk about no location. They assassinated JFK. Who did they find? Who did they say did it? They said it was a sharpshooter somewhere else. They said it was the driver. He did a magician shot. He shot behind, looking at the rear view mirror. Yeah, all kind of bull crap to confuse you. Malcolm X. They said they got the people that assassinated him. They put him in jail. These people were saying they was innocent, and they wasn't letting them go until they said, "Okay, we did it," and they let them go. They got Malcolm X pages, transcripts, at least 50,000 pages to the point you can't even read it. It's too much. You ain't gonna sit there and read all of that. They said they leaked the files. Donald Trump. Where? Leak it where? I ain't see. You see it? Oh, you still waiting? You keep waiting then. You ain't gonna never find that. Then Ronald Reagan. No matter of fact, with JFK, they said they got one of them that actually they were actually saying they did have someone. I forgot the fella name because it wasn't important to me, because as soon as they claimed they arrested him, they killed the guy, one of the guys that's down with the government, killed him on national TV live. I'm gonna say that again. The guy they said that killed JFK, they had him on camera escorting him out, and someone ran up in front of all these people and all these police officers and killed him live on TV, and he got away. Somebody had to be the fall guy. So now you got this young kid. He's a sharpshooter. He got military training. I ain't hear nothing about you. Hear anything about that? But all you hear is they got him. Really? Man, it's a fall guy, man. The person that killed him is some way sipping pina coladas, man. That's because Captain Kirk went against the grain. He must have got cocky and thought he was too powerful with his great debates. And he felt like going against maybe the right wing, somewhere, somebody in his circle. And they told him, quiet that down, stick with the black people thing. And he didn't want to listen. He started getting into the political thing. And they put an end to him, unfortunately. And now he's no longer here. Now they want to make statues of him. That's what they do. They kill you and they make a avenue sign with your name on it, make a statue of you that they make and they own, and then you honor it. Man, please. But that's my concept about Captain Kirk, aka the racist white wing debater. So black people and people out there, y'all have a good night, because I'm about to go. Made me something good to eat. I'm back. So y'all gonna be hearing from me. Oh, my next content. Whoo, man. My next content is gonna be, y'all gotta be here for it. So with that being said, y'all have a good night. Later.